Welcome to Khanversations. I am Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk to you about an extremely remarkable statement that Donald Trump made while he was in France and was answering a reporter's question. He is attending the G7 summit in Evian, France, and this time it's the French presidency. And they are there to discuss, as usual, Ukraine and then the Middle East. And so Donald Trump was there in many ways bragging about the fact that he had achieved what no American president had ever achieved, which is ending the Iranian nuclear program. And he was trying his best to explain to reporters and to European skeptics about his deal with Iran. But in response to a question, which I will show you shortly what Donald Trump really said, it was stunning that he made the observation or the comment that if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for Donald Trump, Israel would not exist today. That is the comment that Donald Trump made, which is absolutely unbelievable. It is stunning. So what was the context? What does he mean by that? And so first, let me give you very broadly why there appears to be some kind of a rupture between the United States and Israel. We have always pointed out, and people like me and other commentators have repeatedly highlighted this for decades, that this assumption that American politicians who take a lot of money from the Israeli lobby like AIPAC make that there is no distinction between the Israeli interest and American interest. All of America's interests are basically whatever is in Israel's interest. So, for example, the former President Joe Biden often used to say that there is no daylight between Israel and the United States. My support for Israel is ironclad. So this is the kind of attitude that many politicians, especially those who have taken millions of dollars from the Israeli lobby, often used to parrot. But there were critics who have consistently made the point, and among those, Professor Stephen Walt of Harvard and John Mearsheimer of the University of Chicago, who wrote the famous book Israel Lobby. These people have always insisted that the United States' interest in the world, and especially in the Middle East, was constantly sacrificed to protect Israel, to advance Israeli interest, and to a great extent, you could say, that the United States has had no strategic autonomy when it comes to policies in the Middle East. Whether it was the invasion of Iraq or whether it was allowing the genocide in Gaza, is U.S. and now this invasion of Iran and this war with Iran 2 times actually in the past year. All of these things clearly suggest and indicate that the United States is acting in the Middle East, spending its money, its resources, its capital, its goodwill, and even to some extent sacrificing its own soldiers. 13 Americans have died in this war and over 400 have been injured, some very seriously. And many will come back with PTSD and their lives will possibly be ruined. God save them. So we have argued that Israeli interests and American interests diverge, and it appears that at this moment when America is stuck in Iran, and they've been there now since February 28, so March, April, May, and nearly half of June, we've been there for 3.5 months, and it appears that there is no progress. The Iranian regime has become stronger. Iran as a country is showing tremendous resilience. It's amazing how, if you look at the moral contrast between the Iranian people and the Iranian Americans, who are basically like they are just vermins who are tagging on. Their hatred for Islam is what motivates them, and so they are in bed with Netanyahu and Israel in spite of the genocide in Gaza. But Donald Trump made this remarkable statement. Let me walk to you. The question that really all of us need to ask, is this a rhetorical rupture? Is this something that Donald Trump has said and he should not be taken seriously? Like he said that, Iran will be forced to make unconditional surrender. We will bring about regime change in Iran, and we will install a clown as king of Iran who will do nothing except advance Israeli interests. He made all these kind of crappy comments in the beginning. So clearly even he doesn't take his own promises seriously. So why should we take this time, his disagreements with Israel, seriously? And this is where, let me tell you something interesting. I think that this could have some sort of I'm trying to reduce the background noise. Sultan seems to be in an angry mood right now. Sultan is my pet, my best buddy. He's a Pomeranian. Anyway, so let's listen to Donald Trump, and then we will unpack what is said. There is tremendous anger in Israel. There are Israeli commentators who are saying that God will curse Donald Trump, and there are those who are attacking him consistently. Even in his own administration, there are people who do not share his values or his viewpoint. They are all mostly, it's his own fault. He packed his administration with Israel firsters, even though he promised Americans that he would give them an America first domestic and foreign policy, and all we've been doing for the last 1 year is Israel related stuff, attacking Iran twice, doing the Gaza board, and it's all about Israel since Donald Trump has come. The only thing he did from his point of view for America was the tariffs, which the Supreme Court has kicked it off the agenda, and there's no discussion of that anymore. Anyway, so just listen to Donald Trump. I'll walk you through it. It's fascinating what he's saying, and he doesn't look as if he's like gone crazy. He seems to have thought this through. Just listen.
Are you frustrated with Netanyahu, sir?
No, we had a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he.
So the question was about his relationship with Netanyahu, and this is how he answered it.
Did an attack based on there's a very minor little thing with some roads that were released, and he ends up doing a very. I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what that was? Not that was a vicious. That was too much. You can do too much also, but.
So this was on Sunday, I think, when Donald Trump was waiting for the Iranians to accept the memorandum of understanding. He had obviously accepted, he had announced it, and he was waiting to have this virtual signature on his birthday, and that's because he had to go to France, so there was going to be only a virtual signature. And then, in spite of Donald Trump telling Israel to lay off Lebanon because Lebanon is now part of the ceasefire, Israel deliberately attacked South Beirut, and that really ticked Donald Trump off. If you remember, this happened twice already in the last 10 days, and on the previous occasion, Donald Trump reportedly made a phone call and called Netanyahu effing crazy, and said that this is the reason why everybody hates you, everybody in the world hates Israel. So apparently he seems to understand that everybody in the world, but actually there are people in India who stand with Israel and with Netanyahu, and they love him because of the very things for which the rest of the world hates him, which is his genocidal and violent tendencies. That's why he's loved in India by some, but not a majority. If you take a public opinion poll, you'll be surprised to see. So anyway, Donald Trump was already very unhappy because he has finally, I think, it's gone through his thick skull that Israel is going to do everything to sabotage the peace process with Iran. Israel doesn't want a peace process with Iran. It wants an endless war, and Israel doesn't want to fight the war. It cannot fight the war. It needs to use the United States as an instrument of its own belligerence, of its own imperial policy in the Middle East. And he has become a useful idiot for Israel. The President of the United States is being treated like a useful idiot who is in the clutches of the Israeli lobby, which has given him hundreds of millions of dollars for his campaign and for his businesses, even for I think his project with the ballroom. The private funding is coming from pro-Israeli sources to some extent, and so this man is kind of stuck with that lobby, And unfortunately for him, he has realized that his entire legacy could now be ruined if the Strait of Hormuz is not open and remains closed for an extended period of time. So here, it is the very fact that Iran would not collapse after nearly 3.5 months, which is 16 weeks. He said this would be over in 6 to 8 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks actually, but this seems to be going on endlessly. But anyway, listen to him further. This is where the interesting comments begin.
We have a very effective relationship. Without us, without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel.
So this is where he said it. Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel. That's where he's making a distinction between him and, I guess, Barack Obama. And so he's saying that, look, I did what Obama did not do. Actually, Donald Trump is the only idiot who did what all the other American presidents did not do, is to fall for the propaganda that is coming from Israel. It is a long article in the New York Times that talks about the presentation made by the Mossad chief and Netanyahu to Donald Trump. And Anthony Blinken, I think, was the one who said that the similar presentations were made to the Biden administration and to the Obama administration, and they didn't fall for it. He did. Okay, this man, he fell for it. He did not listen to his own intelligence chief, Tulsi Gabbard. He did not listen to his own generals. He just listened to Netanyahu, and this is what happened.
No other president was willing to do what I did. We have a very effective relationship. Without us, without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi. Now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible. I would say of all countries, they've been treated the worst. And they can't defend themselves. And they have Hezbollah, which is a problem for them. So, now I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon. And
See, he says very clear, he's not happy with the way Israel has been handling Lebanon.
with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the fast. It just goes on forever. And when that happens, it throws a negative light on the big deal, and that's the deal with Iran. So when you ask me about maybe an unbelievable relationship, but Israel would have been blown up a long time ago had I not gotten involved. Two things I did. I terminated the Iran nuclear deal. Barack Hussein Obama sold out Israel for Iran. He went to Iran. He sold them out. How anybody can vote for this guy, the party, the Democrats, because they're dumb.
Obama did not go to Iran.
They're dumb people. That's number one. How anybody can vote for them. And the second was the B-2 bombers. Just totally different. So they had the right. The JC, I watched his politicians. I watched the Senator Reid. Nobody ever heard of the other day. Well, this deal is the same as the deal with Barack Obama. No. This deal is a wall to a nuclear weapon. His deal was a road. If I didn't terminate that deal, I believe that they had all those missiles aimed at the Emir, at Saudi Arabia, and actually that was a mistake for them because it brought us these kinds of problems. They're totally irrational people, and those people are now gone. And I think Iran has rational leadership now.
So this is another major thing that he's saying. He's saying Iran has a rational leadership. They have outsmarted him. What irrational? This is an Israeli talking point trying to portray Iran as a crazy nation, etc. First of all, they have shown tremendous resilience to stand up to two nuclear powers which have attacked them, the US and Israel, two of the most powerful countries, and the US is the world's most powerful country. Iran has been under sanctions for 40 years. Not just by US, but the entire Western world. And they stood up to the US. So they can't be just crazy and stuff. They've thought this through. They have him basically where they want him. They have forced him to back off and demand. And let me tell you this, Obama gave only $1.78 billion to get the deal that he had without a war, without anybody getting killed, or without the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. The Strait of Hormuz blockage has already damaged many countries' economies, including India's. India's rupee is now at close to 95 per dollar. How did that happen? It's partly because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So Donald Trump not only dented American economy because of the inflation that has come as a result of this. Yes, the oil prices are now down, but that they will remain down only if Israel behaves and if he is able to control Israel, which I don't think he can, because in his own administration he has people who are more interested in advancing whatever Netanyahu wants than advancing what he wants. I will show you one guy, the kind of person he has chosen to be in his administration. So what is going to happen now is that Israel is clearly unhappy because Israel's goal was to use America to destroy Iran. They want Iran to become like Syria. And then the rest of the rich Arabs will have no buffer. Nobody is going to protect them. They should have realized that in this war, nobody was protecting them. The U.S. was not interested in protecting the Gulf countries. They were only protecting Israel. And the Arabs suffered severe damage at the hands of Iran. And they will be very stupid if they think that they are safe because of the United States. The U.S. did not. For example, when the Israelis attacked Qatar, the U.S. did not protect Qatar. They did not warn Qatar. They did not retaliate against Israel. That's unthinkable. So what kind of protection did the Arabs get? Nothing. They spent millions and millions of dollars in subsidizing U.S. military bases, giving planes and gifts to Trump, investing in his family businesses, etc. They got nothing for it, right? So as far as that was concerned, all of that is happening because this administration is very pro-Israel, but it doesn't understand that America's interests have been damaged significantly, and Iran stood up to it and has survived. So what is happening now is the U.S. is trying to salvage it. He's trying to pretend as if, the nuclear dust doesn't matter. We are going to have peace. So Obama gave only $1.7 billion. He is going to give $25 billion, mostly upfront, half of it upfront and half of it through the negotiations, and then raise $300 billion as war reparations to rebuild Iran. So the amount of money that non-Iranians are going to spend on Iran is to the tune of $325 billion, nearly 3 times what the war cost. Not only that, the Iranians are insisting that they're going to collect the tolls on Hormuz. Trump is saying no, they'll call it service charges. Trump will say they are service charges, not toll, which means he's already surrendered on that particular issue. The regime change has not happened. In fact, the regime has become stronger, and not only that, younger. So the people who were running Iran are actually far more hardliners than the previous regime, and they are younger ones too. Not only that, there is no discussion about Iran's ballistic missile capability, no discussion about Iran completely shutting down its support for Hezbollah or Houthis. And not only that, Lebanon is part of this deal, which means that Iran will control what happens with this negotiation, because every time they provoke Israel to attack Lebanon, they can always say that we will walk away. In this particular same conversation, Donald Trump is very critical of Israeli response too. He says they just fired a few drones which are meaningless, and in retaliation, they went and killed people there. So he's saying that why do you have to bring down an entire building to kill one person? And so he has understood that Israel is trying to use the Gaza model to kill civilians in large numbers, devastate. And this is Western values. We must remember that. Okay, these are Western values, genocidal values. I'm so disappointed with American liberalism. Having been an American liberal for 25 years myself, I'm just stunned at the deep hypocrisy and the deep potential for evil in American liberals. Let me say that again. I'm stunned at the deep hypocrisy and the deep potential for evil in American liberals. I don't care about Donald Trump, but Joe Biden, he was the one who supervised the 14 months in which Israel committed the genocide in Gaza, devastated the whole place with American money, with American weapons, with American diplomatic support and political support, with American leaders lying consistently, including Joe Biden, about what Israel was doing and what the US was doing with Israel. So we are at that point now where the only thing that matters is the Western economies which are being hurt. If the Western economies were not being hurt, they would have just let Israel kill as many people, even in Iran, endlessly. It's because the Americans, they will lose elections in November. The Republicans, they are getting antsy, and Donald Trump soon realizes that his legacy is going to be over. He's trying stupid shit, such as trying to erase the record that he is the only American president in American history to have been impeached twice. If he loses the House in November, he's going to be impeached 3, 4, 5 times. He's going to have the record of the most impeached president in history, which he already does have. But if he also loses the Senate, so that is why he is ending this war, so that the prices of oil goes down and inflation goes down, and Americans by November forget what has happened until now, and then he will use some hateful rhetoric against immigrants or against Mexicans or somebody, and this MAGA crowd who's full of hate and racist sentiments these days, they'll just maybe help the Republicans hold the line. We'll see what happens in November. The fact that somebody like Mamdani won in New York, in spite of everybody demonizing him to such a great extent, tells you that how serious the America's affordability crisis really is. So anyway, so what are the long-term implications? Well, it depends, because Israel is going to try every possible trick even before Friday to ensure that the signing doesn't happen on Friday. I'm expecting something catastrophic from Israel in the next 3-4 days. They will provoke something, they will lie, and the American media will repeat Israeli lies. And then they will use that lie as an excuse to attack Lebanon or something else. They may attack Jordan, something, or do some kill maybe a few more people in West Bank or Gaza. They're going to do something to make sure that Iran then says, oh, what the heck, you're in violation of ceasefire, so we will not sign this deal. Then Donald Trump will have no choice but to become another instrument of Israel and bomb Iran. If Trump is right that this particular government in Iran is more rational, then they should at least hold back till the deal is signed, and then use that deal and Trump's inability to control Netanyahu as an excuse to endlessly drag the nuclear discussion. I think that's what they're going to do. I did a whole show that Iran can take the money up front and then say, look, we are upholding our trick. You are not upholding your end of it, which is Israel. The only way Donald Trump can control Israel is by not giving them weapons, by not giving them money, and not giving them support and cutting off their supporters. The kind of people he appointed, let me show you. Donald Trump said that Israel would not exist if it was not for the US or him. But his own ambassador to Israel says the opposite.
Our very existence to what happened in this land.
This is what Mike Huckabee says. Mike Huckabee is former governor of Arkansas, and Donald Trump chose him to be America's ambassador to Israel. And he says that America exists because of Israel. So those are the kind of people. So I'm not very sure that Donald Trump will be. He's very fortunate that J.D. Vance is his. Even Marco Rubio, I would not trust on this issue at all, to follow through with whatever Trump wants. So Trump, if he's smart, he will put J.D. Vance in charge. Already people like Lindsey Graham and others are attacking J.D. Vance. They're calling this deal as the Vance agreement, not the Trump agreement, because they dare not criticize Trump. He still has great support in the Republican Party. So basically, Trump's support comes from two sources: MAGA votes and AIPAC money. And he will lose the AIPAC money, and if he sticks to his America First ideology, he will not lose the MAGA vote. He might even get some independent voters, but he won't get the money. If the money is also coming in other forms as business investments for his family, etc., I don't know. But even Republicans concede that the Trump administration is the most corrupt administration in American history. And if that is the case, then we really don't know how long this will start. So at the moment, you can say that Donald Trump, in desperation of getting the deal signed and getting the Strait of Hormuz opened, is saying things critical of Netanyahu, which may or may not influence Iranians. But once the deal is signed, then he probably will let Israel do whatever it will, and then the whole American, media, spokesperson, everybody will start blaming Iran if the deal goes sour, even if it's Israel's fault. So anyway, this was an interesting development, and I just wanted to share it. He was saying all this with the Qatari Sheikh, the Amir of Qatar, sitting there. So anyway, that is all I wanted to share with you. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. For those who are watching from India, I will come back at around 11:15 in an hour from now, and I will discuss some of this in Hindi and perhaps take some of your questions. But until then, take care. Be happy.